The U.S. Army now faces a defining test of its values, integrity, and the very foundation of its justice system. This is not just another case, it is a moment that will echo through the halls of military history, challenging the institution to uphold its highest ideals in the face of grave allegations. At the center of this storm stands Major Jonathan Batt, a decorated Army Ranger whose career was once held up as a model of honor and service. Batt, known for his valor and leadership on the battlefield, is now thrust into the harsh spotlight of public scrutiny, his reputation hanging by a thread as he faces staggering allegations that threaten to overshadow his years of service. As of June 10, 2025, Major Batt stands accused of 43 criminal charges, each one more serious than the last, involving at least 15 civilian women. The sheer number of charges and alleged victims has sent shockwaves through both military and civilian communities, raising uncomfortable questions about how such actions could have gone undetected for so long. The charges, rape, sexual assault, aggravated assault by strangulation, are among the most severe in the military code of justice. Each accusation carries with it a story of pain and trauma, and together, they paint a deeply troubling picture of abuse of power and betrayal of trust. The volume and nature of these accusations have ignited urgent debates about accountability within the armed forces. How could a decorated officer allegedly commit such acts without detection? What systems failed, and who will be held responsible for those failures? The scandal has forced the Army to confront uncomfortable truths about its own culture and oversight. The trial, set at Fort Meade, Maryland, is more than a legal proceeding. It is a critical moment for the Army's reputation and its relationship with the public. The eyes of the nation, and indeed, the world, are fixed on this courtroom, waiting to see if justice will truly be served. The victims, most of whom are civilians, have come forward with harrowing accounts of their encounters with Major Batt. Many describe terrifying experiences with a man they believe to be a respectable officer, someone sworn to protect, not harm. Their courage in speaking out has brought these issues into the open, demanding answers and accountability. Their stories challenge the military's long-standing promise to protect and serve, raising doubts about whether those ideals are truly upheld when the accused is one of their own. The case has become a rallying point for advocates demanding reform and greater transparency in how the military handles allegations of sexual violence. The decision to hold a court-martial, rather than a civilian trial, has sparked fierce debate about impartiality and justice for civilian victims. Critics argue that the military justice system is ill-equipped to handle cases involving civilians, while supporters insist that the Army must be allowed to police its own ranks. The outcome of this debate could set a precedent for future cases involving military personnel and civilian victims. The outcome of this trial will have far-reaching implications for how the military handles sexual assault and crimes against civilians. It will test the effectiveness of recent reforms and determine whether the Army can truly deliver justice, not just for its own members, but for all those affected by its actions. The world is watching, with international media and human rights organizations closely monitoring every development. The case has become a symbol of the broader struggle for justice and accountability within powerful institutions, and its outcome will resonate far beyond the walls of Fort Meade. For the Army, this is a moment of reckoning. The message is clear. No one, regardless of rank or reputation, can be above the law. The institution must prove that it is capable of holding its own accountable, or risk losing the trust of those it serves. The integrity of the institution hangs in the balance. The verdict in Major Batt's case will not only determine his fate, but will also shape the future of military justice and the Army's standing in the eyes of the world. Before the allegations, Major Jonathan Batt was seen as the model American soldier. A 2007 West Point graduate, he became an Army Ranger and served in elite units, including the 82nd Airborne and 75th Ranger Regiment. Batt completed 4 combat deployments to Afghanistan, earning a reputation as a capable leader. He later held high-profile roles, including at the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center in Virginia. Outside the Army, Batt projected an image of success, fit, charismatic, and social, often seen boating on the Potomac. He used this polished persona on dating apps, presenting himself as a trustworthy officer. Now, that image is shattered by the dark allegations from his accusers. The contrast between his public heroism and the private violence alleged in court is stark. Batt is accused of using his status and charm as tools for manipulation and abuse. The duality of decorated war hero and alleged predator makes this case deeply disturbing. The military and public are left to grapple with this unsettling reality. The charges brought against Major Batt have sent shockwaves through both the military and civilian communities, revealing a deeply troubling narrative that has unfolded over several years. At the heart of the case is a disturbing pattern of alleged violence, manipulation, and betrayal, with accusations that span a significant period and involve numerous victims. Major Batt now faces a staggering 43 criminal specifications, each tied to the experiences of 15 civilian women. Most of these alleged incidents occurred in the D.C. and Arlington area between 2019 and 2023, painting a picture of repeated offenses within a close-knit geographic region. The charges are severe and wide-ranging: 10 counts of rape, 15 counts of sexual assault, and 13 counts of aggravated assault by strangulation. Each charge represents a woman's account of a night that changed her life, and together, they form a harrowing mosaic of alleged abuse. What's especially chilling is the pattern that emerges from the women's stories. Most of them met Batt through popular dating apps, where he presented himself as charming, attentive, and trustworthy, a man who seemed safe to let into their lives. But according to the allegations, these encounters took a dark and violent turn without warning. The women described being choked, bitten, slapped, and subjected to non-consensual acts involving objects, acts that left both physical and emotional scars. Some accusers say the violence wasn't a one-time event. They claim they were attacked on multiple occasions, suggesting a calculated and methodical approach by Batt, rather than isolated incidents or misunderstandings. In addition to the assault charges, Batt is also accused of obstructing justice. Prosecutors allege he tried to influence the investigation by telling someone not to cooperate with authorities, raising further questions about his intent and actions. Despite the mounting allegations, Batt maintains his innocence, insisting that all encounters were consensual and that he is being wrongly accused. The prosecution's case, however, is built on the remarkable consistency and detail found in the women's testimonies. Their stories, though told separately, echo one another in ways that prosecutors argue cannot be ignored. As the trial unfolds, the court must weigh the evidence and determine whether these accounts truly reveal a pattern of betrayal and violence, or if there is another explanation. The outcome of this case will not only impact the lives of those directly involved, but will also set a powerful precedent for how the military addresses allegations of sexual violence and abuse within its ranks. With so much at stake, the pursuit of justice and accountability has never been more urgent or more closely watched. At the very heart of this case are the deeply personal and courageous testimonies of the women who chose to step forward, despite the risks and the pain. Their stories are not just evidence, they are the foundation of the entire investigation, and they reveal a pattern that might otherwise have remained hidden in silence. These women, all accomplished professionals in their own right, met Batt through popular dating apps. They were drawn in by his carefully crafted image, a patriotic Army Ranger, a man who seemed trustworthy and honorable. For many, his military background was a symbol of safety and integrity. The early days of their relationships were filled with charm and warmth. Batt was attentive, making each woman feel special and secure. These initial encounters built a sense of trust and comfort, which made the later betrayals all the more devastating. But for many, what began as consensual and affectionate quickly turned into something terrifying. Several women described how intimate moments suddenly escalated into violence, choking, loss of consciousness, and sexual assault. The abruptness and severity of these attacks left them shocked and traumatized. The psychological toll has been immense. Many of the accusers now struggle with anxiety, depression, and symptoms of PTSD. Some have found it difficult to trust others or to return to their normal routines. For some, the trauma has lingered for years, affecting their relationships, careers, and sense of self. Coming forward in a military court-martial was not an easy decision. It required extraordinary courage, as these women had to relive their trauma in a public setting, often facing skepticism and scrutiny from strangers and officials alike. Yet they found strength in each other. By standing together, their collective voice became impossible to ignore. Their stories, when woven together, revealed a disturbing pattern that made the case difficult to dismiss or explain away. These women are not just seeking justice for themselves, they hope their actions will prevent future abuse and inspire others to speak out. Their bravery has become a rallying cry for change, both within the military and beyond. Their testimony has captured national attention, shining a spotlight on the case and on the broader system that allowed such abuses to occur. The public is now watching, demanding answers and accountability. These women are challenging the military to protect civilians with the same commitment and vigilance it shows for its own members. Their demands for justice are a call for institutional change. Their resilience in the face of adversity is a testament to their determination to create a safer future for others. They refuse to be defined by what happened to them, choosing instead to fight for change. Ultimately, this trial is about more than just the accused. It is about the voices of these women, their courage, and their unwavering pursuit of justice. The case began with one woman's report to Alexandria police. Though she declined to press charges, police recognized the seriousness and launched an investigation. Their work uncovered evidence of other potential victims, prompting a referral to the Army's Criminal Investigation Division. Army CID took over, using digital forensics and interviews to identify more women with similar stories. The investigation quickly expanded, revealing a disturbing pattern of escalating violence. Ultimately, 15 women agreed to participate in the trial, though reports suggest as many as 20 made allegations. The evidence included testimonies, digital communications, and physical proof. The Army's decision to prosecute was based on overwhelming evidence from both civilian and military investigators. This case shows how one voice can expose a much larger pattern of abuse. Interagency cooperation was crucial in bringing the case to court. Major Batt's court-martial at Fort Meade is prosecuted by the Army's Office of Special Trial Counsel, a unit created to handle serious crimes like sexual assault. The trial operates under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, with severe penalties for conviction, up to life in prison. A panel of senior officers serves as the jury, and must reach a unanimous verdict on the most serious charges. The process mirrors civilian trials but with unique military procedures and rules. The defense argues all encounters were consensual, while the prosecution must prove otherwise beyond a reasonable doubt. The Army must balance fairness with the need to hold its own accountable. The creation of the Special Trial Counsel was meant to address concerns about command influence. The Batt case is a major test of these reforms. The outcome will be seen as a measure of the Army's commitment to justice. The trial's transparency and fairness are under intense scrutiny. A key controversy is why Batt's case is being tried in a military court, given that most victims are civilians and the alleged crimes occurred off-post. Proponents say the Uniform Code of Military Justice applies to service members everywhere, ensuring discipline and accountability. They argue military courts can deliver fair trials and severe consequences, including dishonorable discharge. Critics counter that civilian victims may feel alienated and unsupported in a military court. Military proceedings are often less transparent, and panels of officers may be perceived as biased. Civilian victims lack access to military support services, relying on private lawyers. This disparity has fueled calls for reform. Some argue all cases involving civilian victims should be tried in civilian courts. The Batt trial has become a focal point in this debate. Advocacy groups have seized on the Batt case as evidence of systemic failures in the military's handling of sexual assault. Organizations like Protect Our Defenders highlight the lack of support for civilian victims and question the military's ability to deliver true accountability. Lawyers for the accusers note their clients face significant obstacles, lacking the resources provided to military victims. Public reaction has been one of shock and outrage, with widespread skepticism about Batt's claims of consent. The case has sparked broader conversations about consent, power, and justice. The Army faces immense pressure to conduct a transparent, fair trial. The outcome will be seen as a test of recent reforms and the military's willingness to hold its own accountable. The verdict will shape public trust in the system. As of June 10, 2025, the court-martial is underway, with the trial scheduled through June 27. The prosecution will call each of the 15 women to testify, aiming to establish a clear pattern of predatory behavior. The defense will challenge their accounts, arguing the encounters were consensual. The panel must decide whether the evidence supports claims of non-consensual violence or the defense's assertion of consent. A conviction could mean life in prison and a dishonorable discharge for Batt, sending a strong message about accountability. An acquittal would likely spark public outcry and renewed criticism of the military justice system. Regardless of the outcome, the trial has forced a national conversation about military jurisdiction and victim support. The case will influence future reforms and debates about where such cases should be tried. The future of military justice may hinge on this verdict. The nation awaits the outcome. The Batt court-martial is more than a trial. It's a test of the military's ability to deliver justice for civilians. Supporters of military jurisdiction argue it's essential for discipline and deterrence, while critics say it leaves civilian victims isolated and unsupported. Calls for reform are growing, with many demanding civilian courts handle cases involving civilian victims. The trial forces us to ask, can the military truly deliver impartial justice for civilians? The answers will shape the future of military justice reform. The outcome of this case could redefine the boundaries between military and civilian law.